we've all had experience with public input. You know, you go to a school board meeting or a city council meeting and they have a microphone in the middle of the room and they say, okay, it's now time for public comment, and everyone lines up behind the microphone, and just at the moment when you're starting to say something, someone at the front of the room starts to knock on the table that they're sitting at and say, I'm sorry, sir, your time is up. You've been given 20 seconds and that's all you're allotted tonight. The next person, please, come up to the microphone and start to speak. And so we go through the motions of this kind of input. And all we get to say is our complaints, our frustrations. We get to bark out some solution that we feel is important to do. And then what the leaders do, oftentimes, and I've seen this many times, is that they add up everyone's comments. And they say, oh, we've got all this great input. We've got this great engagement. Now we know what the public thinks. And really, what do we know? We know what people's individual complaints are. We know what their individual preferences are. We know what maybe their greatest frustrations are. But do we really know what they believe? Do we know what values are most important to them? Do we know what direction or choices they want to make? What trade-offs they're willing to live with? It seems to me that we don't know any of these things many times. So what we say is, well, maybe we shouldn't put people behind a microphone. Let's get a table, and we'll sit people around the table. And this way they'll have more of a sense that they're talking to each other. Except we do the same thing. We let them talk now for maybe a minute or two, and then we say, I'm sorry, let's go to the next person. And we really don't know that much more. And then we say, well, if we don't want to have people sit around a table, maybe what we'll do is we'll do a survey. And we'll ask people their preferences in a survey. But again, all we know are their frustrations and their complaints and maybe how they react to certain kinds of proposals that we put forward in the survey. Engagement, genuine civic engagement, authentic civic engagement is based on different principles. It's based on different assumptions. And they go something like this. If we're going to create public will in our community, if we're really going to understand what people are concerned about in our community, they need to have a conversation. There needs to be enough time for that conversation to happen. There needs to be give and take, not just people spouting off one after the other or sitting around a table writing down what their desires are or wishes are. And in this give and take, we need to talk about what we value. We need to talk about the different choices that are before us. We need to talk about the trade-offs and the consequences that come with those different choices that we may take. And we need to talk about our own responsibility in what comes forward as we make these choices and trade-offs. This is a very different set of principles. It's a different kind of conversation. It sounds different than what we ordinarily hear when people are sitting around a table or behind a microphone. It definitely sounds different than from what you read in a survey. It sounds real. It sounds like people's lives. It sounds like people struggling with things. And I think one of the fundamental premises here is that we believe that people, when given the right conditions, have the capacity and will to engage like this, that they want to do more than just provide input, and that we can learn more. Last point. When people engage this way, we can start to garner the authority, the understanding of the community we need in order to do our work better. And that's important for leaders.